Play the music.
Oh.
Play the music. And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. All right, when we left you, Steve was telling a riveting story about his MR2. Do you want to pretend to ask me the same question again as if nothing ever happened?
What happened?
Nothing, exactly.
What's up with your MR2, Steve?
Oh boy, well, my MR2. I think I was saying, well, I wasn't saying, of course, because that's the first time you've asked me about this, but my painter started painting the car in April of last year. Yes, 2020. It is. Let me check my watch. October of 2021. I still do not have my bumpers, my fuel door, the left side of my spoiler.
The spoiler's 3 pieces on an SW20.
It's 3. Yeah, it's 3 pieces. No, it's 4 pieces actually, because the middle section is like a 2-piece clamshell, like top and bottom.
That was just like a really funny way to say that. I don't know.
I
don't know what else how else you would have said it, but it humored me. That's all I'm trying to say.
The infuriating part is that piece was painted correctly, and then he dropped it while he was buffing it, and it chipped the back, and then he had to repaint it, and so he repainted it when he painted the bumpers, but he painted the bumpers and stuff like 6 months after he painted the rest of the car, and
they don't match.
Guess what? When you create a custom 3-stage paint color yourself, and then you try to paint stuff not all at once, it doesn't come out the same color. And
so what I'm hearing
it's
is
really disappointing. Yeah,
I'm assuming that this gentleman owns kneecaps. He is in possession his person of kneecaps.
Listen, I'm not a kneecapping type.
We are.
Oh, that's kind of scary.
I have a tree in my backyard. I can go pull a big stick off of it and go smack some kneecaps.
Okay, all right. No,
I have wrenches, and we discussed the baseball bat earlier.
That's true. I did bring up the wrench, the large wrench, and the baseball bat. No, what needs to happen is I need to tell him, hey, give me the last substantial chunk of money that I gave you for this paint job back, and give me all my parts, and give me the mixing instructions, and I am taking them to somebody else, and I am actually going to finish getting this car painted, because getting the car painted in the process of how I wanted to build this car step by step is holding everything up. I have a portable 2-post lift in my garage, a Danmar Max Jacks. It's killer. For low ceilings, the thing is awesome. It's like all the functionality of a 2-post lift. It's mid-rise. I think the top lock level is 48 inches, so you can't stand up under the car, but I think I have like 9.5 feet of overhead in my garage, so it can't fit a 12-foot 2-post like full-size lift. This thing gives me all of the like 2-post, pick up a car, work on anything under the center, drop a transmission out, work on the exhaust, like free under the middle of the car, and fits my garage clearance. I mounted it to the floor. This is going somewhere, I promise, with flush mount anchors, so they're threaded inserts down in the concrete, which means I can unbolt the lift posts and tuck them over to the side and then get a much larger garage back. It's theoretically a 2-car garage, but God help you if you try to cram 2 cars in there. It does not, like the washing machine, the hot water heater, like all this stuff is down one side, and that takes up the space that like a second car door would open into. There's no way to practically park 2 cars in there. So it's been a 1-car garage pretty much since I set it up to work on my own stuff in there. And so I put the lift right in the middle of it. And so what I did when the car was coming back from paint was unbolt the lift, pack it to the side, and get the car in there so that I could open the doors all the way, put the interior back together, like work all the way around the car with as much space as possible. So my lift, I have now not had access to my lift for like
a year and a half.
Most of this year. The car came back from paint in like February. And I had the lift packed away. And what I decided I would do was finish putting the body back together, put the bumpers back on, the fog lights, and all the stuff I pulled apart to get painted properly, because we did the engine bay, the front trunk bay. It pulled the interior far enough back to paint the door jambs fully properly. I didn't take everything apart because I was terrified I would literally never put the car back together. Like, that's too much to remember where it all goes. But we peeled the carpets back and rolled them back 6 inches so we could paint the jamb like all the way up under where the carpet and the trim and everything's going to cover back up. So it's close to a full strip down and paint job as I was going to go. So I wanted to put the whole body back together, then put my lift back up, then put the car up in the air and pull suspension out and repaint suspension arms and replace all the bushings and do all that stuff, then work on putting the engine back, like mechanical stuff next. And what I now have is a 90% painted car that's been sitting in my garage since like January. I finished the interior. I built an entire stereo from scratch. I did everything I could, but now the paint work is holding me up. The goal with this car is not a 2GR, unfortunately. I am now victim to the sunk cost fallacy. I have way too much money sunk into the 3MZ that I decided to go with before I saw the light. I think
still going to be fun.
It will. It should be a lot of fun. And with the work that I've done to the 3MZ, I spent with the help of Troy Truglio. Shout out to Troy. He'll never hear this. Who races Team Biohazard in Champ Car, the bright green V6 powered MR2. Went to his house and used all of his stuff to port and polish the cylinder heads. I think between him and I, we had like 25 hours in the cylinder heads, getting them to flow well. Got some sheepy headers. Apparently that guy has blown up, by the way. Like, it follows Sheepy Race on Instagram. He does like Lamborghinis and Audis and like crazy exhaust systems now. Like, he used to be a small-time guy that owned some MR2s, I think, and like made headers for V6 swaps and MR2s like 10 years ago. I bought a set from a dude who never got his MC swap going, so they're really nicely made, stainless steel, TIG welded manifolds, Y-pipe, everything. So with the stuff the flow mods I've done to the engine, I should be close to like stock 2GR power, which is respectable, like 260, something like that at the
with
crank.
A nice
like
chonky torque curve.
260, 270, yeah, somewhere in there. So probably 230 to the tires with really flat torque, which it'll be tons of fun. But yeah, I went with that because I wanted to try to stick to cable throttle. I thought it would be easier to get like cruise control and stuff going. I didn't want to go standalone on that car. If you go with Haltech or something, I know with drive-by-wire cars, you can literally just command the drive-by-wire to do your cruise control. Like, there's a lot of modern stuff that I just wasn't quite up to date with when I decided on that engine.
I mean, to be fair, you started this project, what, 2 years ago?
Just
plus?
about. Yeah, don't remind me. No, it's I think I took it off the road just shortly after Hyperfest, the last Hyperfest in 19, which would have been October. So yeah, like that winter. Actually, yeah, because I remember New Year's Day, I was dropping the engine out of the car of 2020. So yeah, it's been 1 week since he looked at me. Someone had to do it. Thanks for joining us again, Corey. A little delayed laugh. It's been, I can't do math, 12 plus 10, 22 months since I took the car off the road.
Sheesh.
Someday it'll be together. I told myself I wasn't going to rush this build, and damn it, I'm living by those words.
You're nothing if not honest.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have foreseen how honest I would be. But yeah, that's where that car is right now. So it's a dream car build for me. That is a car that I intend to keep for the rest of my life if I can, if I have garage space to store it. Like, as I said on that phone call, I hilariously thought I had a budget with that car, and that quickly went out the window. And when it did, I just decided, like, hey, I probably am in the stage of life where I get one chance. I had a 91 MR2 as my first car that I bought with my own money. It was a 5SFE 2.2 NA. automatic transmission, terrible 4-speed automatic transmission car, 91. It was repainted by Mako, some kind of creamsicle orange color. It was terrible. I loved it. It was the first car I bought with my own money when I was 17, 18, something like that. And that car, I had the stuff in place to, I got a 1MZ out of a junkyard car. At the time, that was the hot engine swap, V6 swap for those, out of a 96 Avalon. I was like ready to do this. I bought a TRD supercharger secondhand from somebody. Like I was pulling all the parts together. I had an E153 transmission in a box. I never got that car together. I pulled it apart. I didn't have a garage to work on where we were living. I got married, life happens. I never got that car together. I sold the shell of it hilariously to Troy Truglio, who bought it as a secondary race shell, like a spare in case he binned his race car. And then he sold it to some other guy in Ohio, I think. And last he heard, maybe it got turned into a race car, which is pretty cool. If it was going to live on, I'd like to hear that it actually went somewhere and got used for stuff like that. But yeah, I had to sell that car actually to start working on my NA. At the time, money was tighter, and I was like, I want to start putting money into, parts on the NA. And my wife was like, listen, you have a project car. It's the MR2. And she was right. But
they always are.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Jordan's nodding his head too. Sandra, just so you know.
Yes, dear.
And so I sold the MR2 to start working on the NA. And so this is a dream, that this current MR2 that I'm building, that I have had for something like 15 years now. Like, this is a car that I wanted to V6 swap, a second gen MR2. Forever I had this vision of the paint color being this crazy custom orange two-tone with a black roof, like everything that I'm doing with this car. So it's pretty cool to see it start coming together, even though it's kind of stalled. I do still have the vision. I'm not rushing because I do expect to keep it for a really long time, so I'd much rather take the time and make everything reliable and replace a lot of parts, piece by piece as I go along. I've done a bunch. I've pulled the fuel tank out, completely restored it. Honestly, strangely, it was the only thing in the car with any rust. Like, that is the really fortunate thing, is that this chassis is remarkably rust-free. The fuel tank was rusty inside. So I did.
Probably just sat for a while with low fuel.
I would guess, yeah. I would guess. And actually, when I bought it from Japanese Classics, they brought it in as a parts car for other showroom ready cars. The paint was faded. Half of it was repainted at some point not well, and so clear coat was flaking. It just wasn't. They weren't going to put the money into it to try to put it in the showroom and sell it as a desirable right-hand drive MR2. So they bought it to pull most of the interior out of and put in another car that somebody had hot boyed and rattle canned all the interior stuff bright blue and leather wrapped the door cards white. It was sparkle blue. So yeah, the joy of this was that I got all of these parts when I bought this car. They pulled them out of the car they were going to sell in the showroom and just stacked them in the passenger seat of my car and then just put it out behind the building. So when I bought it, it had no dash, barely any interior, really, one seat. The steering wheel, I found out after I got it home, was not even bolted on. I drove it around the building. I put it on the trailer. I brought it home. And then I went to back up and I turned around to look out the window and was still holding onto the steering wheel, and it just came off the steering column in my hand. But it was rust free. I don't know how it lived its life on a small island nation, either in the mountains where it snows or near the ocean. My understanding is most of Japan is near either salt water or snow. No rust. The rockers, the common stuff that rots out in those that I expected to need to fix, solid. It's a slick top car. Most of them were T-top, which those rust badly because the T-top seals go bad and they get a bunch of water inside. It was not a removable sunroof car, which was the second most popular production number. The lowest production numbers were the full slick top, hard metal roof car. And it's one of those, which is pretty cool. Those are pretty desirable by racing guys.
Very.
Yeah, because they're stiff chassis and they're hard to find.
And they're lighter too.
Yeah, I guess that'd be true. Yeah. Less glass, just metal up there. So that was, I didn't buy it specifically because it was that. But quickly backing up, I had bought a USDM 92 T-top car, probably 4 years ago now or something, when I finally thought, like, I'm going to get back into an MR2. Like, I'm in a decent stage of life. And this one came along. It was cheap for a reason. Because it was rusty and somebody had hacked it together. Someone had the engine out and cut up the wiring harness and just chucked it. It's just like the rear suspension was held together with bolts from the hardware store, like bad. And I just put on the rose-colored glasses and said, it's $2,000 and bought it and brought it home and then decided I was going to start working on it, and then very quickly decided I was not going to start working on it because it wasn't worth it. And that's what led me to buying this JDM right-hand drive 92. Was I knew I wanted to get back into MR2s. I had what was now a parts car sitting in my driveway, this black T-top car. But the cool part about that is that now I have owned all three. My first one was a sunroof car, my 91. Then I owned a T-top one, which turned into kind of a parts car that I pulled a bunch of spares off of for my current car. And now I have a slick top. So I've had all three, and that's kind of neat. So yeah, that's that car. It's being built extremely slowly. The motivation goes way up. And then I get a lot of stuff done, and then the motivation goes way down because the paintwork is holding me up, and it's a bit of a roller coaster. And then I bought the ND, and I started putting a lot more time and attention into that car. So that's where I'm at with those two.
So right now you're just waiting on paint?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I could, that's the thing, I could clean up my garage, put the lift back up, put it up in the air, start working on suspension, put the fuel tank back in. I restored it. I derusted it, electrolysis. What is that stuff? Evaporust. Ran that. And so chemically rust stripped it a couple of times, then did electrolysis, got as much rust out of it as I could, and then lined it with red coat, fuel tank liner, new fuel pump in it, AEM pump, and all this stuff. So like the tank is ready to go back into the car. I could do all that stuff.
Could you put the engine in at this point?
I'm trying to remember now. I know I have a reason for why I haven't put the engine in it yet. Oh, transmission. That's what it is. I need to pull the transmission apart. I have an LSD to go in it. So it's an S54. It's the NA transmission I'm going to stick with.
When you do that,
yes.
Are you going to do that yourself?
I'm probably going to pay somebody to do that.
I was going to say, if you do it, I want to come over and watch because I need to learn how to do that.
I may get Richard. Richard has offered to help a couple of times. The thing that I'm most concerned about with doing that part of the process is shimming the differential, because it's supposed to have like a proper amount of preload rolling resistance on the bearings, and you're supposed to shim it until it's just those types of adjustments, like the nuts and bolts stuff. I'm very confident.
All together, and then test it, and if it's not right, you have to take it all apart.
Yeah, I watched a video of a guy doing it after, so you can put the diff in the carrier and then just sandwich part of the case back on so that it's contained by the bearings, I think, and then put. Was it even that? I forget. There's some way for you to not put the whole thing together, to bolt the differential in, and then get the bearings on it and torque down, and then turn it with a torque wrench and you can see, like, basically you put it on one of the bolts on the ring gear and turn it with an inch-pound torque wrench, like a beam style, and look at where the needle moves to, and that will tell you that you've got the right amount of rolling resistance and the bearings and the shims are proper. That scares me. I don't know.
I 100%. That's why I don't want to try it.
Yeah, I can plastic gauge bearings in an engine and feel. For me, I'm not building a race engine. I don't have a set of mics, and I don't. It'll be fine. I've rebuilt engines like 4 or 5 times myself. It just transmissions, something in there. Like, again, the nuts and bolts stuff, I'm not worried about. Can I put all the check balls back? Yes. Can I torque things down? Yes. But that stuff that needs to be adjusted and shimmed, and it worries me a little bit. So that may be one step of the process if I can find somebody who will do it I'd say in a timely manner, though right now it literally doesn't matter. They could take a year to do it, and it'll probably still be done before the car's painted. If I can find somebody to do it in a timely manner. I've talked to Chris at Night Run. They're just very busy. I mean, he said he's willing, but...
What about the Biohazard guy?
Troy? He's the guy I bought the limited slip from. He apparently put it in his transmission. Now, here's the thing. For his race car, I don't think he cares that much if it's, like, perfectly shimmed. Because they're doing, like, 24-hour endurance races, and he goes through a couple transmissions a season. Like, he just expects that that's part of the game. And so there is certain stuff that he does quick and dirty because it is race car stuff. It doesn't matter that much. It's far more about getting the car going, having maybe a spare engine or transmission, and then just getting out on track and tearing the thing up.
It's amazing that
I want
duality
this car to last.
In race cars. Like, some stuff is super duper extra precise, and other stuff is way not.
Yeah, and his MO is like way not, except the few places where it really counts. Yeah, so it just even he is that way. Like, the duality is there.
One of my favorite stories in that camp, or whatever you want to say, is I think it was a Lemons car it was a Miata, and they blew a head gasket like halfway through the race or something like that. So they pulled the car into the pit, took it apart, and the dude realized that the head was warped by like a little bit, right? And they needed to deck it. Well, you don't have access to a machine shop, right? So the dude bolted the head down to his workbench, and with a file, one stroke at a time, flattened the head at his workbench.
He did like stroke
at the track?
At the
track.
Stroke with the file, clean the file off, go back to the beginning, stroke, clean the file off.
Yeah. One at a time.
And over and over again for
like
a couple hours until it came back.
And got it like race ready again.
Good enough that you can throw some copper spray on that head gasket and let her rip.
Yeah, I was going to say, now what I would have did was tape some 3000 grit to the workbench and then just scrub the head back and forth on that, and then bolted it back down with a thicker head gasket real tight.
And if you had a big enough piece of glass to put that
sandpaper on? Yeah, that would do it.
I would have done the same thing. Yep. I very purposefully kept the top to a glass table in my garage just for stuff like that.
Apparently, that's how...
Have you ever used it?
Yes.
All right.
Not for car stuff, but yes, I have.
Apparently, that's what Jake did with the cylinder head on my current Corolla. When he did the head gasket. His dad, I think, had like a machine grade flat stone surface.
Oh, yeah, like surface plate.
So when he did the head gasket, he took the head and just skimmed it on the stone.
Mm-hmm. And it's a totally legitimate way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the odometer says like 260 something. The speedometer's broken.
Is that you've got an MLS head gasket, multi-layered steel one?
This is a completely
it's a
factory engine. I mean, other than like whatever head gasket he put in it when he replaced the head gasket.
Didn't know if the Toyota one is multi-layer steel or if it's like the composite.
It's like graphite.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, those will soak up. I mean, you could...
Yeah,
you could sand that on your sidewalk, and it would be okay. Maybe not, but
they're very forgiving.
Yeah, those will take more, but that's a really legit way to flatten stuff out. Actually,
I used the table to sharpen chisels and wood plane blades.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
So I actually had a station. I had it broken up in stations from 400 grit all the way around the table up to like 4,000 grit or something like that.
Nice.
It's just paper at that point.
It pretty much is. It's like as soft as toilet paper.
Warning for everyone at home: please do not use 4,000 grit as toilet paper. Not endorsed by the Beer and Backfire podcast.
I mean, you can try it if you want. I'm not your dad.
But you are a dad, and that gives you a certain level of authority.
So
that level, I'm not defining that level, but it is a level.
There was a certain, I don't want to get into it. There was a certain mishap at work this week, and it involved
You're going to need to get into it, Jordan.
It involved a garage door getting pulled off its track. Let's say that.
By a car,
It
Jordan?
doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right.
So, this was at a facility separate from our main garage, our main shop.
Okay.
So the boss man rolls over with his truck and he brings hammers and pry bars. And the funny part is, I'm there with another guy. Boss rolls up. We start trying to fix the door. The younger guy I didn't realize he was doing this, but he was taking video of us while we were doing this.
Oh no.
So while my boss is like prying at the door and hammering at it, I'm like leaning up against the wall, like staring at it, like watching him work. And then when I'm doing stuff, he's leaning up against the wall. It's
Very
like
good.
The most dad thing you can imagine.
Did either one of you say, "Yep"?
Probably.
Mm-hmm. Just
You gonna leave it like that?
Yeah, just hit it over there a little. Yeah, a little to the left. Mm-hmm.
Yep, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
I just imagine a bunch of dads taking turns hammering some sheet metal, and somebody's like, "Henry, get me the 3-pounder."
I'm gonna see if he can send me those videos, and I will share them with you because it's quite fun.
Oh, very good, very good. Did you guys get it? I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, a couple of the rollers are broken, but yeah, it's in there now.
That's degenuity. Oh, here's a fun thing. I'm going to tell on one of my customers real quick. Brand new Ford Explorer. It's white. It's an ST.
Oh,
it
they're
comes
fun.
with the black Explorer letters across the hood. We do paint protection film at my job, for anyone who doesn't know. We take the letters off the hood because we don't cut ugly boxes around them. Put the film on the hood, retape the letters in most cases, and put them back where they came from.
Or so help me.
Nice. Yeah, good reference. I got that reference.
I missed it. What?
He said, "Put that thing back where it came from." And I said, "Or so help me."
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
And we all look at the car with them off, and we said, "That looks great. It looks so. They all look good. Range Rovers, Kia Tellurides. Everybody's putting these stupid letters across the hoods now. I hate it, and they all look better with the letters off." And we called the customer, or we looked back through the emails, and we were like, "Oh, awesome. He doesn't want the letters back on." And then Aaron called him and was like, "Hey, just double checking. You don't want the letters back on. Like, here's when it's going to be ready." And he was like, "Oh, actually, I do want the letters back on because I don't want people to think it's a lower trim level."
It says Explorer on it.
It says ST in red letters in the grill and on the back.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to think, my guy.
And the front end is totally different from a regular Explorer.
Yeah,
Tell me you're a car person without telling me you're a car person.
he doesn't want people to think.
He's driving.
Okay.
He doesn't want people to think he's driving a plebeian base model Explorer
that looks like an ST because it's just weird. When you get weird people at your job.
Oh,
Jordan, do you get any weird like Mopar
Challenger
vehicles?
Oh my god!
Perhaps.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay.
Oh,
And for
it's
people
gonna
in
be
the
in
audience,
the show art.
And what Corey means by good.
it's not going to be in the show
so,
art.
Can you not share?
I am not sharing anything from work.
That's fair.
On social media.
That's
I
fair.
just send it to private individuals. But picture, if you will, a Dodge Charger or Challenger, and literally every possible surface that exists
is decked out with
Is
hell yeah, brother.
all flames. Everywhere.
Flames, chrome flames,
everything,
red, white, and blue
all of
flames.
the flames. I believe. Hold on.
Whatever flame you
it
can
had
imagine.
messages. There were messages in the engine bay
Oh, I
of this
clearly
vehicle.
did not look close enough at this picture.
One of them says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then He made a Hemi." One of them says, in red, white, and blue script, "American Muscle."
Oh no, he didn't.
Where's another one?
Oh,
It's really
gracious.
The crash bar up front says
Backwards.
in reverse. If you can read this, move over.
No,
but
then
move
if
your
you
as.
can move your as, but the M and move over is the
It's the
Mopar logo.
M. It's
Because of course it is.
it
Because
has a police. It has a Crown Vic style bash bar.
Mopar people.
It has splitter rods that we are fairly confident are just attached to the plastic bumper cover. Did you happen to look?
I
while you
know
were-
I didn't get a
okay.
look. It actually in the picture that I definitely didn't take and share with people.
No, of course not.
No, it looks like it's attached to a light bar.
Oh,
what it
yes,
looks
that's
like.
right. Yeah. There's an LED light bar of because of course.
Mopar people have definitely taken the mantle that was once upon the Honda community and just like gone whole hog. It's an embarrassment.
It is quite bad.
So, and then what you didn't see is the interior. All of the seat trim plastics were also
Flames?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, on
Amazing.
brand.
Amazing.
They are nothing if not dedicated to the bit.
Consistency is key.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Are you counting Mopar logos?
American
9
flags,
that I
Mopar
can
logos.
see Mopar badges on the front of this car.
Yeah, it's a real treat.
The fuse box has a Challenger label on it.
You forgot what kind of car you had.
Just he doesn't want people to think
He's driving a lower trim level.
lower than the hell yeah brother trim.
How many Ram logos are on this thing? This
It's
isn't even a
so
Ram.
many.
It's a Challenger.
It's so many.
It's a
There's
different
at
brand
least
now.
4 Ram logos on this thing.
Wow,
so much. It's so much.
it's bad.
I just can't.
It's very.
Oh,
bad.
there's even a Ram logo like etched out of the Pro Charger mounting bracket.
Yep, there sure is.
Jesus Christ. And on the power steering reservoir and the strut towers. What?
That's what I'm
They
saying,
keep
man.
appearing. Where do they come from?
This is like one of those like find the
There's
hidden.
an SRT badge in the light bar. Oh my god.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah,
I wanted
brother.
to kill myself.
the gift that keeps on giving.
Steve,
How do you work? How do you function in a building that contains such atrocities?
Because there's like 4 more just like it.
They kind of get lost in the wash. Oh boy,
Mopars, dude, it's the worst.
it really is.
I was hoping that you would tell me about another one of your customers who imported a car from Belgium.
Oh yes, he did.
Because I purposefully did not talk about this car in our
Okay.
Hyperfest episode. And
it was at Hyperfest. It was also he ran by the track day that I was at VIR, but
really?
did not run. He was having some issues with the car, so a very good customer and honestly a good friend of mine at this point that we've been doing work for years. His wife actually owned the preschool kindergarten that my daughter went to, which is how we like met her and then him, and then he heard about what we do at work, and then he started bringing his cars to us. He has not 1, not 2, but 3 Audi R8s, and the most recent one he got is an R8 LMS, which I am no expert on, and
more of an expert than me.
Tom Atkins, you just have him on the show and ask him all the details because he understands the differences between GT3 spec and GT4 spec cars and LMS and this and that. It
We
is
would
essentially
like to have Tom on at some point.
Yeah, no, that would be great. Tom's a good dude. Hi, Tom.
And he's a very loyal listener. We love you, Tom.
Yes. The LMS
Stop
car.
listening in your Miata.
Wait, why?
Because he can't hear us.
Oh,
I am recording everyone at a much higher volume this time, so hopefully it comes through better.
Let us know.
Good. Your feedback is important to us. Please call 1-800-BEER and backfire.
I
have got nothing.
the best.
I've got nothing. It's
Sorry,
so good.
we just discovered the stock sounds that are on this little 4-button
Hit
soundboard.
me with another one here, Jordan. Hey, and we're back.
What was the idea that I had for one of them? Oh! It was the Professor Farms.
Good news, everyone!
Yeah, that and the
Great
and the
news.
to shreds. You said.
How's his wife holding up? To shreds, you say. Very well, then.
Oh my god.
Pierce is going to have a field day editing
So
this
much.
absolute horse shit. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
my God.
Delightful.
Okay. I'm sorry. I needed that really bad. Steve, please tell me about the R8.
Oh, so the R8 LMS. It's just a beautiful machine. That's really it's super cool. It's mostly like carbon Kevlar composite bodied car. It is substantially wider than the already very wide Audi R8. I think the rear is like 10 inches wider, fender to fender or something like that. It's just glorious. Weirdly, it is the quietest R8 he owns. It's strangely tame sounding. But it's something like 600 horsepower NA and like 800 pounds lighter than his other ones.
That's so crazy.
Although his other two, he's got a V8 supercharged R8, he's got a V10 supercharged R8. Although the one makes well over 800 horsepower, he fully expects that the LMS will turn comparable track times to the most powerful supercharged one he owns because of the substantial drop in weight. It is the R-Tronic, the older dual clutch transmission. So it's the first. His other two are gated shifter cars. He likes a 3-pedal manual, and
The dual
I
clutch
don't
will probably
blame
be
him.
better for lap times.
He's been told that the R-Tronics are really good, even those early ones. It's a 2010 V10. But yeah, this thing is super cool. He brought it to us. And
So
we did.
sorry, but before
Yeah.
you get to that, this is effectively a race car,
It-
like an actual race car.
It cannot be registered in the United States of America for driving on the road until it is an antique.
Right.
So
Does it have a VIN?
25 years. It does have a VIN. I'm pretty sure that one has a VIN.
Because
I'm
if it's like a
90%
full
sure.
LM spec, like carbon body GT car, then it might not.
I'm trying to remember now because we had a BMW M2 factory built race car that did not have a VIN come in, and that one was a similar that guy ordered it from the factory in Germany and had it shipped over, and apparently, I know it's a lot of money, but that M2 race car is like $130, and for what you get,
That's pretty good.
for that's not that crazy.
That seems.
That's
For
like
a full spec, full
Yeah,
cage,
yeah.
fire suppression,
Yeah.
radio, like everything is
It's
built
like
in. Transponders, like
base
the works.
model with some options. Porsche 911.
Yeah,
Yeah, that seems like a really good deal.
yeah. And I was surprised. Like I assumed like 200 plus for anything like
yeah,
factory
yeah.
built race car.
Yeah.
And I think if you get into the M3 and the M4 versions of the same thing, you are talking that kind of money.
Fair
but
enough.
they make an M2 based one, which would be plenty fun. With I think he was telling me that one actually has the M3. I'll probably get it wrong now, but the M3 engine in it. So I just the power to weight, it's stripped out. I mean, any of these like factory built race cars are they get pretty preposterous. But yeah, this R8 was super cool. He brought it to us. We did a full car paint protection film, satin finish paint protection film. So it's like a beautiful, like deep gray color. So now it's a matte gray with bare carbon fiber accents here and there that we left gloss. And windshield protection film, ceramic coating, the whole works. And then he very kindly let us use it as our display car when we did the sponsored Virginia Festival of the Wheel out in Charlottesville. So we parked that next to our tent that we set up for the business, and had the car there. And honestly, as cool as Festival of the Wheel was, there was a Ferrari F40 there. There was an original GT40.
I want to see one of those in person.
There
so
was,
bad.
I mean, there were Testarossas, like all the cool stuff was there. A Singer Porsche that we did, the whole car.
Holy crap!
Was there.
Wow.
May have been one of the more expensive. There are a few like really classic. There were some sleeper cars there, honestly, that were probably worth more than most of the other things sitting in the field, and you just wouldn't know.
I think some of the Singers, I mean, they sell in secondhand more than it costs to build one because their backlog is so long.
I absolutely believe that.
I feel like some of them cross the 1 million mark.
I'm sure they do.
It's
This
crazy.
one I think as spec was like 800 when he had it built. Beautiful car though. I cannot say that I've ever worked on a more like finely crafted car than that Singer Porsche. Like being up close and personal with one of those is pretty incredible, because just like every detail is thought out. Like the little hinges that hold the hood up have like lightning holes drilled through them that are then like chamfered over smoothly. Like things are, like brushed aluminum and CNC machined like strut tops that are, it's just everything is thought through. They're really incredibly built cars. That was there. But yeah, really cool event. But honestly, that R8 attracted as much, if not more, attention than most everything else there.
I'm not surprised at all.
Because there's just a field of like, the reason I wanted him to bring it really for that event in particular was that the whole thing with Festival of the Wheel is that it's like a concourse event. There's a lot of judge stuff. It's mostly classic cars and
stock cars.
A lot of stock stuff, some modified stuff, but a lot of, like classic, clean, restored stock things. And that thing was just so other. And that was why I wanted it, because it was not like anything else in the field. Nobody else brought a factory-built race car out there. Nothing was super wide and crazy and giant carbon fiber splitter and diffuser. And he put cones around the four corners of the car because people would walk into the splitter and rack their ankles or step on it. Like, you just don't... Stuff sticks out past the ends of the car. The wing sticks out like pretty far out the back corners, and you'd walk into one of the points of that and stuff. It was cool. It had a really cool presence. It's got airlift on the front that he said he's actually going to take out of the car. When he tried to run it at VIR, it was causing problems. Front end was shaking like crazy, and then the splitter was starting to dig in. And so he says he's just going to go back to like static suspension that will absolutely do the job of running on track and doing the stuff he wants. But he imported from Belgium just a track toy, and I won't out what he paid for that car, but it was also surprisingly reasonable for what I expected something like that to cost. So I don't know, like it's cool to think that one day you might be at a point where, if you worked up to it and could justify like one big, spend on a car like that, there's stuff out there that you can actually get that's like the dedicated track weapon you could have a ton of fun with. My dream is a Cayman GT4. Like, that's pretty achievable.
Yeah.
Not now.
They're so awesome.
But they are so cool. Like, the performance you get in that package, of course I love that it's mid-engine, but even the first one, the 2016 I think was the first year, God, that would be so cool. You can spec them with even the steel brakes on those are enormous and incredibly good.
A lot of the guys that have Porsches and other cars with carbon brakes is they'll option them when they buy them with the carbon brakes, take them off,
and then
put
sell
steel
those for
brakes on,
20 grand.
or leave you put them back on the car when you go to sell it.
Or that, yeah.
But you run the car with steel brakes because they're like exponentially cheaper to run.
I have been told by a couple of people with different platforms, I don't remember which ones, GT2 RS, maybe, stuff that comes with carbon ceramic brakes. They are legitimately 5-figure brake jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Just to do pads and rotors when it comes time.
I want to say the GTR rotors,
outlandish.
like Nissan GTR rotors, are something like $1,500 to $2,000 each. Like it's bananas.
I believe it. It's preposterous, but I believe it.
Now we can talk about Pierce while he's gone, and he can hear it on the recording later.
We love you a lot.
Gosh, he's such a nice guy. What a jerk.
His hair is so beautiful.
I know.
He has a magnificent beard. And he's single, ladies.
Bow, chicka, chicka, bow.
Free candy.